Hi, this is Anna Imagination with the Healing Garden. Welcome to Shifting Perspectives. We are going to talk about risk versus return. This is like the reason why people don't change. Like, this is it. This is the reason why people stay in bad situations and they don't overcome their situation or their fears or their subconscious mind to actually work toward change. When you look into economics, there is basically a risk versus return. This is true of basically economics does a phenomenal, finance does a phenomenal job breaking down the concept of basically ROI, return on investment. And that is where risk versus return really comes into it. And in economics, there is, and business, there is a lot of focus on risk on, or I'm sorry, return on investment or risk versus return. But basically the concepts that are introduced in business and economics applies to psychology. It applies to a lot. It's so articulate in the field of economics that it's just like, wow, they did a great job. They outplayed the game of psychology when it comes to psychology and risk versus return. So, if you are, imagine you are in a very comfortable place. Now, comfort in this case means not in immediate danger and not being around discomfort and being around what is familiar. Familiar is really a big word here because a lot of people think, well, why are you in a bad situation? It must be horrible for you. But really, it's familiar versus the unknown. And that is really what's at play here. So, what's comfortable is actually what is familiar. It's not that it's literal luxury. When we hear comfort, we think luxury in our brains, and that's not it. What we are actually talking about is what is familiar versus what is unknown. And what is unknown is fear. What is familiar is, hey, at least I know I can survive this as long as I maintain the same level of behavior, which means zero change, zero effort, zero energy. Now, our subconscious mind, our entire bodies are designed to expend the least amount of energy. It is constantly in energy preservation mode. Energy preservation mode is huge because when you are in your comfort zone, you're actually in energy preservation mode. And whenever you decide to overcome something, what you're really doing is looking to expend more energy. You're looking to alter your energy. Now, ideally, what will happen is you expend the extra energy and then you make the changes. You get yourself into a better situation. You normalize, and then you can go back to being comfortable. But this time you're in a safe place, you're in a familiar place. Your energy preservation is back down to zero, and you're enjoying life. But there's going to be that growth hump that you have to overcome, and that is where risk versus return comes in. And the return is actually X, it's an unknown. So you're taking a risk for something that you are not aware of getting. That is why we don't change, is because you're taking a massive risk. In some cases, you are risking rejection, you're risking abandonment, you are risking what's familiar, you are risking your comfort zone, you are risking your hiding spot. Imagine if you are in an abusive situation, you are actually in a bunker, a war zone, and there's bombs and everything going off, and you find this beautiful little cubby. And you go into the cubby and you find out that it is actually safe, dry, decent, and somewhat familiar. Yes, there's a war going on, but as long as you navigate and manage around the environment, you can manage it pretty well. And you spend the least amount of energy to do so. So you're in energy preservation mode, so long as you maintain the consistent behavioral pattern. Now, if someone comes along and says to you, you need to get out of that bad situation, you're immediately going to outweigh the obstacle. And the immediate obstacle is you want me to walk through my war zone to change because there is going to be an initial upset. And that is going to be astronomical. Now, the question is, you got to sweeten the pot. You got to make the return worth the risk. And that's where a lot of people run into this massive, yeah, I'm not going to do that because they don't know what the return is. They don't understand what's waiting for them on the other side. They are in a massive unknown if they were to step out and change. So you've got somebody who's in a bad situation. They're hiding out in a bunker. Their energy preservation mode is low, and they're doing a pretty reasonable job maintaining and managing around, let's say, the life of an abusive narcissist. So long as they make sure that ABC occurs, you might get beaten only sometimes. So long as ABC occurs, you pretty much can avoid any of the landmines. You're still managing a landmine, yes, but at least you're safe and you're not expending much energy and it's predictable. You know what you're dealing with. Now, you know, if you try and alter anything, you're going to see World War III suddenly come alive. And for what? For nothing, really. For what? What's on the other side? And that is the big problem with people not wanting to change. They don't see, they don't understand what is on the other side of all of that upset and World War III. They have no idea what's waiting for them. Now, believe you me, if you knew what was waiting, the return is astronomical. It's absolutely phenomenal. But you have to believe in it and you have to fight for it and you have to go for it, but you have to believe in it. What is waiting for you, that return, is pretty much freedom. It's anything and everything you could possibly want with the resources to get it. And it comes down to, how much do you trust yourself? How much can you believe in yourself to actually get what it is you want? That's really what's on the line here. That's really what's at stake. So, whenever you are presented with the opportunity to overcome your obstacles, get out of the situation and you're in and heal or get better, you're looking at this massive risk versus return. You're looking at this massive ratio of, am I going to get the big bang for my buck? And at the end of the day, no, you can't guarantee that. You don't know. Now, on the flip side of that, as somebody who's been through the bullshit process, who now lives in a life where there is no bullshit, there is a constant state of calm, I'm back to preserving the most amount of energy and living free and literally whatever I want, pure happiness. Yeah, for me, I'm looking back at it going, oh, it was definitely worth it. In fact, anyone who's gone through it will tell you the same thing. It is definitely fucking worth it. But what is it? What do you get when you cross from the war zone you're in to where it is you want to go? A life without fear. A life without fear. The ability to make any choice you want without having to weigh in your own safety. Yeah, you lose family, you lose friends, you lose community, you lose belonging, but you gain authentic belonging. What you have right now when you're living in trauma, what you actually have is a fake belonging. It is an inauthentic belonging. You belong because you conform. That's why you have a place. And as a result, it's requiring a lot out of you. Now, you've been shaped and molded into that conformity. So once you get out, one of the things you're going to have to do is break your conformity. And that is painful. That is absolutely a lot of work. And then once you get that, you get authentic belonging, you get authentic living, authentic identity. A lot of people talk about living an authentic life, and you think, oh, so I'll be able to do what I want and go where I want. But they never talk about the authentic belonging. And that is really, your friendship circle becomes a circle that actually mirrors who you are. You find like-minded people, you attract like-minded people. When you start off where you are now, you basically have, I'm talking about your mental emotional environment. And your mental emotional environment cultivates this plethora of basically subconscious mind signals that are constantly sending out data and information around you so that you're naturally attracting people toward you. Your subconscious mind is sending out signals so that your emotions will respond to the same type of people who put that subconsciousness into you. And that is attracting more and more abusive situation to you. So you're just going to keep repeating the cycle. When you heal, you're changing the programming in your subconscious mind to send out a different signal, to respond differently. It is full subconscious metamorphosis. And when you bring in that different type of morphosis, when you choose something that's identical to your beliefs, your authenticity, and who you are, you start to attract a lifestyle and people and a belonging that mirrors all of that. So when you sit down to do your risk versus your return, one of the massive rewards is your own authentic identity. You finally get to do what you want, but you also get people who imitate you, who mirror you, who celebrate who you are. You get a lifestyle that's absolutely reminiscent of who and what you represent and what you are. And that just nourishes you even more and more. I have yet to meet anyone who went through the healing and regretted it. But it's all about the visioning process. So if you do want to change, but you're not sure if the return is worth the risk, start by simply imagining what kind of a life you do prefer having. It all starts with the visioning process. Whenever I do my business classes and I focus on how to cultivate the business of your dreams, I build my businesses from the dream down. I don't build them from the ground up. And when you cultivate them from the dream down, it was said so beautifully in Harry Potter, book 1, with the Mirror of Erised. Dreams are fantastic to have a purpose when you want to envision where you want to go. But it does not do one's life to sit and waste your time on dreams. Meaning, after you get the dream and the vision, it's up to you to actually take action and get toward that dream. That's going to take the action. The dream is a great flag. It's like an endpoint that you put in your life that you say, this is where I want to go. It's that X that marks the spot. Now it's up to you to start laying all the stones to get from point A to point B. But that destination, knowing what kind of a life you want, knowing what kind of life you want to get to, that is 100%. That's all of it. That's your starting point. You have your starting point, you have your end point, you've got your goal in mind, you have a destination. Now, it's up to you to start planning and putting it all in place to get yourself out from point A to point B. And that you can do. Absolutely. That's what the Healing Garden teaches you. That's exactly the stuff that we cultivate in the Healing Garden Journey Plan. We know all the pieces that need to be laid out, how to get you from abusive situation through extraction over to the next stage. I cover that in my narcissistic pandemic, where we cover preparing yourself for the extraction phase. So it's really a sitting down and keeping in perspective where the risk versus the return is and how it is in comparison to a ratio. What is going to be your return on investment? Because that's what you're doing, is you are investing in a different life, a better life. And it can be whatever kind of a life you want it to be. What does that look like? What would that shape out to be? What would you cultivate? And this is where absolutely you can literally compose whatever kind of a life you want. And whatever you decide to dream, dream bigger than the abuse you're in. Make it worth the work you are going to go through to get to that dream. Motivate yourself to get out of it by putting a dream in place to get there. It all begins with a dream. It all begins with the desire and the determination that the situation you're in can be changed. And it's literally just you versus your own belief. You versus how sick and tired of you are you of that situation that you're in. Risk versus return is, I was in a bad situation where, for me, I truly, and I still believe, that no situation was as bad as what I was in. There were times where it really could not have gotten any worse. You hear that a lot, where, oh, it could be bad, it could be worse, and then, or it can't get any worse, and then it does. Oh no, mine was bottom of the barrel, as bad as it could get. And I had no place to go but up. and I was there many, many times. And that was a massive perspective for me, being down in the sewers that low. You're in a position where you're like, "Yeah, it can't really get any worse than this," and it couldn't. And that was all the motivation I needed to say, "Dream big and get there, make it worth it." And every time I did take a few steps back, it was still progress from where I had started from. It can always, always get better. It can always get better. Absolutely. The return is whatever you want to make it. That's 100% in your power. You have to define the return and you have to make that return worth it for you. So make it big, make it huge, make it expansive. And it's really about you learning what you're capable of and learning what your power is. And that's the journey, is you discovering exactly how much power you have had the whole time. It's really a journey of discovery, and you'll surprise yourself. You will surprise yourself over and over again. You will keep surprising yourself. Every day that I accomplish something, every day that my communication skills get better, I step back and go, wow, I can't believe I did that. It is a journey of self discovery where you discover over and over again that you not only could you have done it all along, but you have a lot more power and authority than you ever thought possible. But you don't know because you're not on the journey of discovery. Once you decide to take up that road, you surprise yourself and you really start. That is the process of taking back your power, is taking your power, showing yourself that you can, that you will, that you do. And you will surprise yourself over and over again. And then it's going to get to a point when you do it so much that oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to surprise myself and I'm going to do it again. And then I'm going to surprise myself and I'm going to do it again. And pretty soon, it's all of those accumulations of your accomplishments that made you realize I had the fucking power the entire time. So, yeah, is the return worth the risk? Oh, fuck yeah, it is. Yeah, it absolutely is. Because what you gain out of it is your own power, your own authority, your naming, your belonging. You gain so much more than just freedom. You're not looking to just end the abuse. You are literally turning into a Goliath of a goddess. It is extraordinary. Yeah, the risk is definitely worth the return that you get out of it. What you can't risk, and this is something huge, when you finally get to that point, you look back and you realize what you couldn't risk was staying where you are. That's the real thing that you can't risk. Can you risk staying where you are and dying, never trying? Can you risk staying where you are and never get out of the situation you're in to see just what it is you're capable of? That's what you can't risk. And once you start wrapping your head around that reality, it's a completely different life. It's the determination that gets you up and pushes you on. And that's when you start to surprise yourself. So for more shit like this, subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you want more shit like this, subscribe to my amphitheater. The link is down below. And if you cannot get enough shit like this and you want it in an organized, detailed, strategic design for your purpose, take a look at my masterclasses. Thank you so much, and may the kindest of words always find you.